Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Today I have joining me Monikkie Shame, known from Dragula season 2. This is her in all her glory. So this is Monikkie, and we've been friends for what, 17 years?
17 years.
I knew you before you started doing drag, so that raises a question to me. What made you get into drag?
So Seattle in like the early 2000s. I moved to Seattle, I think when I was like 17 years old, 18 years old is when I moved to LA first. That's why I saw you. Then I moved to Seattle and then I started doing like the whole club kid thing, like just dressing up and going out to the bars and not getting paid, not getting drink tickets, just dressing up and going crazy. And then I was at a house party and I put on a wig one time, and my friend Nehemiah, he was like, "You look like a Russian prostitute. Your name should be Monikkie." And it just kind of stuck. And then I actually started a job at Champion Party Supply, which is a party store, wigs and makeup. I got hired, started working there in the makeup department because I knew a little bit about it, and bought my first wig. Um, and I
Um, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, my AirPods died. But I wanted to like do something that was out of the box. So I was very inspired by Leigh Bowery and everything from the Club Kid movement, how he wore masks. And I didn't want to be a normal drag queen. You know me, I've always been into like the horror and stuff like that. So I wanted her to be scary and wear a mask so nobody really knew who I was when I went out to the clubs. And it kind of just picked up from there. And I started getting really, really big and I started getting booked a lot. And I was working with horror icons like Jackie Hell, Jackie Beat, Mama Tits, Ursula Major from Dragula. Like she used to book me all the time. I had a show at Bacon Strip. I had my own show called Sex Wave. So it kind of just took off and got really big from there.
That's kind of awesome. Like when I actually didn't know you were doing drag until you appeared on Dragula.
I know.
I was like, wait,
I
I
was
know
still
that voice.
I was still very unknown back then too. I met the Boulets at Seattle Pride and took videos of them and sent them to them. And then when season one came out, I was best friends with Frankie Doom and Xochimochi. I actually traveled down to LA as Monikkie and got to perform. And that's when the Boulets followed me and were liking all my stuff and everything like that. So I kind of knew that it was a sealed deal because there was nobody else like me that was doing it at the time. I'm the first person to ever appear in a mask on a TV show and stay that way. So
No,
I know.
that's actually pretty awesome and groundbreaking.
I know.
How long were you doing drag before you got on Dragula?
So in 2012, that's when I started. In 2013, my mom committed suicide, so that just pushed me harder to do it. I got really addicted to Xanax, so I was kind of being a mess, but everybody really liked the messy part. They were just like, "Oh, she's a mess. Let's book her. She's fun. She's rolling around on the ground drunk. Like, she's crazy. She's having abortions on stage. She's nuts." So yeah, it kind of just kicked off from there, and I just started doing it more and more. So far, I think it's been 13 or 14 years since I've been doing drag.
Nice,
So,
nice. Well, I'm actually, I've seen many different phases of you. And I gotta say, what I see before me today is probably one of my favorite ones. You look healthy.
thank you.
I
I've
can
been
tell.
sober off of drugs for 4 years now.
Oh, that's
The
fantastic.
only thing
Like
I
I
do is
can
drink White
tell.
Claw. No liquor, just White Claw.
I just drink poison.
Yes.
You gotta keep it flowing somehow, right? Um, so on the show, I actually went back and rewatched your season. I did watch it when it first aired, but that was a couple years ago, and since then I've actually suffered a head injury. I had a concussion, so
Come
a lot
on.
of my information got all jumbled up and mixed up. So I wanted to refresh, and I went back and rewatched your season, and there was some I'm looking down at my notes. Yes, I take notes. I'm a
Yeah.
PR.
I took notes today too.
Um, so I went back and rewatched it, and there was some, tension between you and James Majesty. And on the show, it looks like you guys kind of
Clashed.
well, you clashed and then you made amends. So did that carry on like after the season was over? Or are you guys still kind of catty, or do you guys just not communicate
So
at all?
it was bad. So like fast forward to like episode 2 when he gave me that apology and you could see me in my confessionals. I was like, here's his fake ass apology. So the thing about it is I knew that somebody else from Seattle was on. I got the notification from Ian, the production, the Boulet's assistant, and he goes, all right, you're arriving at the airport with somebody you know. And I'm just like, fuck, who is it? And I automatically, the only other person that was big in town at that time was James Majesty. She was throwing her own shows and everything like that. James met me at the airport, gave each other hugs. We were not really good then, but it was kind of like this fake, okay, we're going to be cool because we were living with each other. So in the house, it was me, Abora, Victoria, Erica Clash, James Majesty, and me all in one Airbnb.
Oh,
So we
geez.
kind of had to get all along. But the first episode, me and James said, let's take it there. Let's do good TV. Let's be really fucking mean to each other. And it was really me just telling my story about what James actually did to me and why we weren't friends. And James kind of got taken back because I told the truth. So he was like, okay, now I'm going to go for your jugular about the Xanax and stuff like that. So it was just what it is. And today, at the last reunion, the Last Supper, I was so gone and messed up, and I was super high on drugs and everything like that. And we went back to the house because I went home. I got sent home. They were like, "You're drinking too much. Like, we can't have you here. You're gonna ruin production. You're gonna know too much." I went back. They flew me back down in October to film the Last Supper and the Dragula Ball, and James was so mad at me, and we weren't friends after that for a long time. We battled online and fought with each other, but now me and James are super cool. She's doing really good, and she's in a sober place now. She was smoking way too much weed and drinking, which I don't know why weed would affect you, but that's her story. That she was smoking too much weed and it was making her an angry, evil bitch.
Dude, it makes
But
me sleepy. I fall
I
I
know.
knocked
I
the
was like,
fuck
it doesn't
out.
matter. It makes you angry. So me and James are good now. James comments on my stuff here to there and
Oh,
says how
that's
proud she
great.
is of me. So yeah, I
Well,
don't have
that's
any really
fantastic.
bad ailments with anybody on the show except for the Boulets.
We'll get into that here in just a few
Yeah.
moments. So during the first extermination, I think it was the first extermination, you and two others had to take a bunch of needles.
Yes.
And I even remember watching it the first time when it first aired, and I was like, he's got this. A motherfucker, he's got needles
I'm
everywhere.
like completely tattooed. Like,
I look at you and I was like, and you're just sitting there and you're just like, is that the best you can do?
right.
And I'm laughing and I'm like, I was even watching it with some friends the first time it aired, and they're like, you know that person? I was like, yeah, I know that person really well. I was like, we've been through some shit, we've had high times, low times, and everything like that. But I will say he definitely can take all these needles. He'll probably beg for more.
Yep.
And
And I did.
you
I was
did,
like, is that
you
it?
did.
I
How
actually,
many,
I
how many
actually
did you actually end up
I
taking?
I took 35 and I was the one that had the most because I kept telling them to keep going, and that's when they were crisscrossing them over my chest and crisscrossing them in my arm. They didn't really do that to the most people, and then when they shoved the 8 gauge needle through my armpit, literally they were like, do we have any more? And they were like, we don't have any more. And I was just like, okay, are we done? Like, take these out. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go get drunk. Like, I'm done.
Ooh,
It was like a 17-hour filming day too. So it was like
oh,
o'clock in the morning when we got out of there. So
yeah,
it was just nuts. Like the
I
filming
mean,
for Dracula is just so long. Like I remember one episode was 20 hours of filming.
dear
Like on
Lord.
no sleep in the middle of the desert.
Like I was in the body modification industry for quite some time,
For a
and
long
I know, yeah, and I know for a fact, even just like one singular piercing, whether it's an ear piercing, nostril piercing, or genital piercing, whatever, that can really take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
So sitting for, 35 piercings literally at
Yeah.
once is it's exhausting. I know you enjoyed it to a degree,
I
but
do.
when it's all said and done, you're like, okay, I need to eat something and I need to sleep and rest and, heal. Even though the piercings weren't permanent or anything, they
But
were taken right out.
I was also over it. So like when I found out that I was in the bottom, they bring you downstairs and I'm in the basement where the piercing stuff happens and they say that you're on ice. You're not allowed to talk. So all the bottom was down there and we couldn't talk for almost 2 hours. I'm pacing around the room pissed off. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. They're like, eat some pizza, Monikkie. And I'm like, no, fuck off. And like this one producer was like, you're on ice. No talking. You're on ice. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. And I go, Vander, go get my fucking Xanax right now. And he's like, you don't need Xanax. And I was like, it's prescribed. Go get my fucking Xanax right now. He went upstairs, got my Xanax, took my Xanax, calmed down. I was like, okay, it is what it is. Then we went back upstairs. Then they told us it was a piercing challenge. And I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, I was expecting something way worse, but it wasn't that bad.
I've seen some of the extermination challenges and I was like, I
They're a
don't
little
know.
they're a little intense. And then the Belay brothers actually just recently had a podcast and they were saying, and it was actually true, if they were like, you guys could not handle the intensity of season 2 if it was today. Like we broke the mold with that. We could never do a piercing challenge again. They were like, if we did that, we would be canceled.
Yeah.
Like just plain and simple. Like it was something that they thought was good, and we got kicked off of Netflix. We got kicked off of Hulu. We got kicked off. I think we're still on Amazon, but we were actually on RuPaul's network, Wow Presents.
Oh,
We got kicked off of Wow Presents too. Like
wow.
season 2 was very, very intense in that terms of the piercings and the drama. And I mean, Sasha Velour and everybody was just like, we don't need to see them fighting. Like this isn't what drag is about. And now, if we did this these days, this season, there would be no Dragula.
Yeah, yeah. I think I found it on Shudder, which is
Yeah, it's
a
on Shutter now, so
yeah, which is a horror streaming service that
yeah,
I love. There's some
I love it
definitely
too.
hidden gems on there.
There's so many like nasty movies that you would never think, and they're so stupid too, but they're
Some of
really
them are. I
yeah.
actually saw one a couple years ago. It was called Slacks, and it was about a haunted pair of jeans.
Oh my gosh, I
But
watched I
it
watched
wasn't as bad as it sounds. It was actually pretty entertaining.
I watched Evil Bong on there.
Oh my god.
About a bong that's evil, and it's like this black girl and she's like, oh wait a minute, like it's just stupid. But it's so funny, and there's like 8 movies of them too.
Oh yeah, I know. And I know they had Ginger Dead Man on there for a
Like,
while.
they had Evil Bong versus Evil Dead Ginger Man. I don't know.
That's what I love about horror is that there will definitely be like so many insane freaking
Yeah,
movies and you're like, where did they come up with this stupid idea? But then those movies tend to be like cult classics like
cult classics.
Sleepaway Clamp or
Yes, Sleepaway Camp. Clamp.
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah,
I get tongue tied now. Who knew? But yeah, and that's actually like one of my favorite films of all time. Like when I'm in a bad mood, I just pop on some Sleepaway Camp and
Sleepaway
call it a
Camp.
fucking day.
Alicia Rose.
Yeah, Felissa Rose.
Melissa Rose. Yeah, she was
Well,
on
she was in the
recently.
first one, and then the two sequels. The girl who plays Angela, her name is Pamela Springsteen, and she's actually the sister of Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, which a lot of people don't know that, and I enjoyed the sequels as well. And then there was the fourth one I think called Return to Sleepaway Camp, where they brought Felissa Rose back.
Yeah, she was actually a judge on the last season of Dragula too.
I saw that. I
Yeah,
saw that.
that was cool.
Which, you and I also have a friend who was on the most recent season. We're not
Yes,
going to say
Cynthia
who.
Doll, Cynthia Doll.
Cynthia Doll.
Paying homage
Um,
to the fungus.
oh my
There's
gosh.
the door, bitch.
Dude, I loved that. I loved that so much. Just watching her grow has been
Yeah,
really fun over the past 15 years or so. but we'll save that for a
I've been
different
friends with her on
conversation.
Facebook. So when I first started Facebook back in the day, when I first moved to LA, when we were at the Sticky House and stuff like that, I remember having her on my Facebook and everything like that. And I never really knew until recently when she was like, I used to be a Stickam legend. And I was like, oh, now this makes sense. And I was like, do you remember me from Stickam? And she was like, girl, I was always in your lives. She was like, I was always there. She was like, I was there when you were messing around with Jeffrey, like all of that. And I was like, ugh, let's
Good
not look back
times.
at that.
Good times. And moving forward,
Yes.
we're getting off of that train real quick.
Yes.
So you as you know, this podcast is about, drag and wrestling and how
Wrestling, they're
they're very much the
intertwined together.
same.
They're
They
the
really
same.
are. I mean,
Even
think
though
about it. Macho Man Randy Savage, one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, that's
drag.
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 That's drag.
That is
Ric
drag.
Flair with his
Ric
rose and
Flair.
sequin, drag.
Who
With that
else? Hulk
said,
Hogan, super drag.
super drag. But with that said, I do see a or a wrestler's influence on Monikkie Shame. It's subtle, but I see it because I'm a fan of both drag and wrestling. And that would be the late, great, wonderful, the voice of a monster. And I mean that in the best way possible, Luna Vachon.
Yes. Yes. So I remember watching wrestling as a young kid because I lived in Virginia and my dad was very much into wrestling. And I actually went to the WWW like events at like the Toyota Center or something like that. And I remember seeing Luna, and I wasn't allowed to play with Barbies no more because I lived with my dad. I grew up with Barbies my whole life, but when I moved to Virginia, it was no Barbies. So my first action figure was Luna, and she had the shaved head, the ponytail, and it was my favorite action figure. I brought it to school all the time. I actually got it taken away from school because I would play with it in class. So she was really one of my favorites. And she was in a band. I think is she still alive?
No, she actually passed away quite some time ago of a drug overdose,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Because she was in
Which
a band the whole entire time too.
mhm.
So she was in like a rock band, and then I was actually looking up some cool facts about her, which are really interesting. So she was trained by one of the greatest women wrestlers on the spot. The famous Moolah is the name that actually was one of
Fabulous Moolah, yes.
Fabulous Moolah. And it's no surprise that two people trained her. She did vocals on a backup metal band, and she was the first woman to actually appear in a WWF video game, which is
Yes.
major. So that's really iconic right there, just to
Yeah.
have the first girl in a video game. And it was probably for like PlayStation or something back then. Like the graphics
Actually,
were
I think it was for Nintendo.
Nintendo 64.
No, regular Nintendo.
Oh, Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah.
Oh.
I'm for my audience and possibly yours coming to watch you on here. I'm quite old. I don't look it, but I'm quite old. My next big birthday, I will be 50.
Oh my god, you're the age of my boyfriends.
Well, I'm not 50 yet, but my next big
Big
birthday is
birthday.
50. So I'm between
Yeah.
40 and 50. But
We both stay looking young. Like people still think like at my work and everything, they're just like, "Oh, you're so young," and I'm like, "Girl, no." Like, and they're like, "You're like 24," and I'm like, "Girl, I'm 34."
oh god, I'm 44.
It's the Botox, honey. It's the Botox.
I just stay out of the sun. I spent too much time and money on my tattoos and my hair to get faded by the goddamn sun. There's a reason why, dude, this tattoo is like 10 years old
I
and it
know.
looks like it's brand fucking new because I stay out of the
Right.
sun.
And one of the other wrestlers, which is my favorite wrestler, the iconic and undisputed China. Like I thought that China had such a female presence in the ring, out of the ring, when she got on reality TV, when we got to see a little bit. Oh my God, I love that. When we got to see a little bit of her life, like how she is and everything like that. I remember when she was on Playboy, I saw her in my dad's Playboy. Like dad had the Playboy, and I remember all the controversy too. It's a man, she's got a dick, blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, and nothing ever changed that. I was so heartbroken when she died because she
Yeah.
was so good for TV, like reality TV, when she stepped out of the ring and started just showing her life and how she acts
Yeah.
and her drinking and stuff. Super funny,
Mm-hmm.
super relatable, one of the sweetest people ever. And it's just such a shame how everything worked out for her. I think she overdosed too as well.
I think it was a combination of drugs and alcohol. I actually remember China's debut, and she was actually hired as a bodyguard for Triple H
Okay.
and Shawn Michaels, and she actually came out and I think she power bombed Terry Reynolds, aka Marlena, who was like Gold Dust's
Yeah.
wife in real life. And I grew up watching all of that. My favorite thing about China and what makes her a groundbreaker in the wrestling industry for me is she was the first woman to enter the men's Royal Rumble.
Oh, was she? I didn't
She
know that.
was. She
Okay.
was, because this is before they started doing the women's Royal Rumble,
Terrible, yeah.
and she was in it, and she was also, as far as I know, she's the first and only women to hold the Intercontinental title.
Intercontinental title. Yeah, I do know that. Yeah.
And China was a powerhouse. She wasn't someone to mess
Mess
around
around
with.
with? No.
No way. I think right now the closest thing that we have to China in
that
today's
new,
wrestling is
that
Rhea
new
Ripley.
Rhea Ripley, yeah, and she just paid a tribute to her
Yep.
and wore the same exact outfit, and I was like, oh, I love Rhea Ripley. And the lesbians love her, the men love her. They
Everybody loves her.
so hot, like, and I think she's just amazing, and she's just
She's
such a badass. So I think that she's stepping in China's shoes and taking it to the next level and doing good by her name. To be honest,
absolutely, absolutely. You got to honor those icons. You got to honor everyone who came before you.
yes,
Uh,
you got to pay
I
homage and everything like that. And with the costume that she did the other night, I was like, it looks like China, just not with the beautiful long ponytail.
Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing China making guest appearances on some sitcoms too. I remember her on Third Rock from the Sun.
I do remember that one. Yes, I missed that TV show. That was a good TV show.
Yeah, she oh
she
man,
was on.
China was great.
She,
I remember I bawled like a little bitch when she passed away. I just couldn't believe
wasn't
it.
she on the Surreal Life or was she on Celebrity Big Brother? She was on there with Mini Me.
Oh, okay, I don't watch very much reality
Yeah,
TV.
she was on a reality TV show and she was on there with Vince, from the one that played Mini Me in
Yeah,
Austin Powers. And she was drinking a lot back then, and
I think that was the Surreal Life.
it's a real life, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was a mess on there, and everybody loved it. They were like, "Oh, this is a side of her that we've never seen before. I love it." Like, rest in peace,
Yeah.
Angel. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah, China was great. And we were talking a few days ago and you also mentioned that one of your other favorite wrestlers was the iconic, the phenomena, the Undertaker.
Yes, The Undertaker was so cool. All of his stage presence, just the drama and everything that came with it. Like, I think he came out of a coffin one time, and like there was smoke coming out of the coffin, and he died and came back from the dead. Like he was just
So,
so theatrical. That's drag to me. That's
absolutely.
drag, like stage presence and just over the top drama and making a story about it. And everybody in the crowd
Absolutely.
you could see is dying over it. Like it was just so iconic. Like
So
super.
I actually remember I've been watching wrestling probably since 1982.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I've been watching it like my entire life. So I actually remember the Undertaker before he was the Undertaker. He went by the name Mean Mark Callis, and this is
Oh
his
my god.
action figure.
Oh my god.
Mean
That's
Mark
old
Callis.
school.
Yes. Um, And I think this was when he was in NWA or WCW before he
Yeah.
joined WWF as The Undertaker. But even back then, like he was really scary. I mean, look at
And the
that.
Undertaker wore a mask, didn't he?
Um,
Sometime.
not full time. The only time he really wore a mask is when he actually got his orbital broken in the ring. And I think that was broken by little tiny Rey Mysterio. Um,
Mysterio.
yeah, just a move went wrong, and the timing just wasn't right, and Rey Mysterio accidentally broke Undertaker's orbital bone. So in order for him to be able to get back in the ring a little bit quicker, they made that
That weird face
yeah, it was like
like,
purple and gray.
top, and it was like just the top part, and then you start
Yes,
at the bottom.
but it
Yeah,
was actually just like a protective um prosthetic so that the bone could heal better and not get more damaged while he was in the ring.
crazy.
Yeah, and then I also remember Taker versus Faker where they had an imposter Undertaker and they got in the ring together, and that
Battled it
was
out.
that was just a stupid match. I mean, it's funny. My favorite Undertaker match is probably everyone's favorite Undertaker match, which was the Hell in a Cell versus Mankind, aka Mick Foley.
Mick Foley. Yep.
And he got thrown off the top of the cage, and you hear, I think it was JR, Jim Ross, go, "Oh dear God, he's nearly broken in half." And then Mick Foley gets in and climbs back to the top of the ring again, and Taker choke slammed him, but the top of the cage wasn't like as sturdy as it should have been. So when he
Yeah,
choke slammed Mick Foley, he
through the
fell
cage.
through and came down and hit the mat. And he hit so hard, his tooth was coming out of his nose.
Ugh. Ugh.
It was, and that motherfucker, that strong ass motherfucker, he kept fighting, and that is my favorite Undertaker match because that match in and of itself was so iconic in the wrestling industry. I just I still sit down and watch it every once in a while, and I'm like, how do you get up and walk away from that?
Right. And
And
you gotta
people,
think, of too about what wrestling like has done. Like MTV did Celebrity Deathmatch.
mhm,
Was the greatest TV show that was ever
it really
made.
was.
And it was just so funny. But I think wrestling, like, and still to this day, it's such a huge thing. It's always going to be a thing. Like, I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. And they still keep it true to this day. It's still drag.
Yeah,
Like Rhea Ripley, girl, she looks like she could walk on a Dragula stage. Like, for real. Like, China, like, could walk on a Dragula stage. Like, it's
Abaddon. I don't know what your knowledge of modern wrestling is now, but there's a wrestler named Abaddon, and they call themselves the Living Dead Girl, and they're a zombie. They're non-binary, so I'm trying to use the proper
yeah,
pronouns. But they
do it all.
lime green fluorescent hair and
I love it.
zombie makeup, blood coming out the mouth. And there's also Max the Impaler on NWA. And they're uh-oh, says I'm running out of time. Oh
We can spice them.
no.
We can spice them together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't got that kind of money on me right now. Fuck
They want you to
you.
pay.
Yeah, it wants me to pay $400.
Oh, hell no.
Oh
Well, guess
hell
what?
no.
We need to catch everything up in 9 minutes and 35 seconds.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds fair.
So should I give you some tea about what's recently been going on with me and the cast of Dragula and why
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
affiliated?
Let me see if
So,
I can get back into the Zoom meeting here. Oh, there we are. Okay.
Blaze went on tour with the cast of like Hoso is my drag daughter. Pretty much my drag daughter. Like I was there when Hoso first started out, and I actually booked her in New York City when we were working. Oh, I stayed in New York and was doing shows there. They went on tour, and I went in Seattle. I asked production if I could get on the guest list with my two partners. They said that there was no guest list, so I had to pay $380 to go and meet and greets to go say hi to my sisters and the Boulets, which I was on the show with. Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. So then they made me make a video for their promotional video. So for them to promote, and it was my iconic line, I am not going anywhere, not tonight. Like, did that. So the Boulets were really, really nice, were completely okay with me and really nice to my partners. And then all of a sudden, like, it just got distant, and I have been doing so good and so well on myself. Like, I'm a manager at TJ Maxx and Home Goods. I'm a coordinating manager, work a full 40 a week. Like, I am sober. You would think that they would still want to be my life. I recently found out that they unfollowed me, and I'm super
Mm.
confused. And it just goes to show there's 13 contestants on Dragula that no longer claim Dragula because of the mistreatment of production and how it actually goes down. The lack of POC and Black production teams. It's all white people. And it's just, there needs to be more diversity in it. So I messaged the Boulet brothers. They blocked me, blocked my phone number. So I went all out. So in my season of Dragula, there was a drag race contestant who said that she waited until Dragula aired and made a video showing all of the people that were on the show. It got to me, and she said that I made a racist remark. I had no idea who this person was at all, and I don't remember ever saying anything like that. And it's really unlike me to not see a screenshot or anything like this. So then a screenshot does pop up, and the screenshot, which is very inappropriate, said, "You're an ugly Asian faggot, and your parents probably don't like you." But what she said to me, and I found my screenshot, was she was like, "You should go kill yourself like your mom." And that's what I said
No.
after to her. So she spun it around and said that I said a racial slur. Now, the Boulet brothers already knew the proof. Production already knew the proof. They knew that this person was lying. They
Mm.
had to do damage control. They made me apologize for something that I never said. They took me off of the trailer. If you look up season 2 trailer, I'm in the Meet the Monsters, but I am not in the trailer at all. So that
Wow.
took into effect with filming and afterwards. And afterwards, I overdosed twice. I was in the worst place. I kept trying to kill myself on Xanax. I went to rehab. I moved to Cape Cod to get sober. Like, I did everything in my power to make this better. The person that was on Drag Race later then got caught grooming children and deleted all of their stuff. There is no more anything of this person online, and I'm not even going to say their name because it's not worth the time. They can Google it. But Reddit would harass me. They leaked pictures of me. They've been leaking pictures of my partners nowadays. Like, and I'm still always branded as a racist. And I'm best friends with like Amy from Sugar Pill, Nia Huru from the new season of Dragula, Hoso. Like, I am not racist at all. I have said stuff back in my day, online when I was crazy. I have done stuff like that, which is completely out of line. But for that to be brought up at that time when it was my time to shine. It was my moment. I worked really hard for it, even though I did go home at the second episode. It just really sucked that this person did this and turned the whole entire world on me. And at the end of the day, I pity this person. I feel really, really bad for them because to make up a lie to ruin somebody else. And guess what? I didn't go home first on Drag Race. She did. So it's just I love Dragula. I love everything about the show. I love all the contestants. I'm going to continue to support it. I'm going to continue to always boost my sisters up and make sure that they are held in the highest regards. But as far as the Boulet brothers go, they sold their soul.
Yeah.
It's just like they used to be cool, and now it's all about money. It's all about views. How much stuff can we torture these people? And at the end of the day, too, I signed up knowing what was happening on Dragula. I knew that it was going to be intense. I did not know that like emotions and everything like that. Like on the Last Supper, they gave us a bottle of tequila and told us to drink. We were not allowed to smoke weed because they wanted us to talk. We were supposed to drink. I drank and literally was nodding out, and they told me that they were going to delete all that because it was embarrassing, and they left it all in.
Wow.
So my time on reality TV, and I've actually been asked twice now to go back on Dragula, and I have turned it down. I have said I'm not doing it, and I'm in the right headspace. Like, my partners hate them. Like, after that show when we had to pay and like
Yeah.
they called me out on the mic just to make me do that when I was the one. Season 2 was the reason why there's more seasons. We broke the ice and the stereotype of what a drag show should be and what different kinds of drag can be. So it's just like at the end of the day, I'm happy. I live in a beautiful home. I have beautiful partners. I have great friends surrounding me. I'm rekindling relationships with people like you and others from the past that like I'm just in such a better place right now. And I think that people need to know that reality TV and fame and all of that, it's not worth it. It's not worth putting yourself and your integrity and your emotions, your mental stability in any sort of jeopardized situation. So I think just my last thing would, if you want to be on reality TV, just realize that it's all scripted.
Oh yeah.
It's, and they will make whatever headlines and they will do whatever they need to do to make it good, even if it's bad. So just
Absolutely.
remember that, folks.
Remember that. The words of
Remember that.
Monikkie Shame.
Yes.
Well, Nathan, Monikkie, I call you both
I know.
because you're
Nafi.
both. Oh my God, Nathan, Noodle. That's my
Noodle.
favorite. Noodle. I don't even know why I started calling you that. I just did. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your experience. I'm sorry we ran out of time, but you
It was
know,
fun.
we got all the time in the world to do another episode. If you're ever inclined, you got something to say, want
Yeah.
to get it off your chest, we'll
And
do
I
it
have
some
new
other time.
masks. I have new masks that are being
Oh
made. New
yeah.
outfits. I just bought a new wig from Bitter Betty. It's up to the heavens. So I'm coming back, but I'm coming back on my own terms.
This is all mine.
I
This is not a
know.
wig.
Long.
I know
Last
you've
time,
cut my hair before.
yeah, that was probably the last time you got your hair cut.
No, I've got my hair cut like 3 times since then.
Oh, good.
There was a 5-year period I had half my head shaved. My hair just grows really fast. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been
Thank
wonderful
you.
catching up with you. And I hope everything is well, that you're
Yes.
staying safe, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.
All right. Love you. Bye, guys. Mwah.
Mwah! How do I do this? End meeting.